First one, connecting to your joy. What basically this means is we need to define joy, because it's not what you may think. Joy is not a state of being when we're feeling good. I said it again, joy is not the state of being when you're feeling good. Joy can actually be felt when you're feeling miserable and horrible and bad. Just waiting for all the weird Joy can be felt when you're feeling whatever you're feeling, because a state of joy is a state of being with whatever you're experiencing without making it wrong. It's a state of peaceful acceptance of what is. It's an allowance and relaxation, allowing your heart to feel whatever you're feeling without resistance and tension. That is the definition of joy in this work of Heart IQ. So when I say the purpose of this work is to come into your joy, it's not hallelujah, and it's all this blissful, high, fiery, let's walk on fire type states. Do you understand? It's a sense of deep self-love in the moment of whatever's going on. So if you're grieving, you're loving your grief. Not, oh my God, I love my grief so much. Oh, yay, grief. It's not that quality at all. It's not, I'm happy with my grief. It's, I'm with my grief. I'm connected with my grief. I'm allowing my grief. And when you allow and you connect with these emotions, these ranges, these parts of you, it's intrinsically joyful in that it just feels alive. It just feels like cells in your body vibrate, and you feel just tuned into your core, to your goodness, to your life. You don't have to try to work to feel happy. You don't need to, there's no effort anymore. There's a grace in your being where you can just relax, and you feel safe. And you feel life has your back, even though things around you are falling apart, and you're like a candle in a hurricane, where everything outside of you seems to be trying to blow you out, and yet you're okay with it all. Not because you're in denial, not because you're disconnected, you're letting it all move through you, you're feeling it all, you're connecting with it all, and yet you're not disturbed to your core by it. Cool. So when I say the key to a delicious relationship is to connect to your joy, does that now make sense? Is that most people use relationships as a means to feel something that they can't access on their own. So it's like, you need to give me so I can feel this way over here, because I can't access what I need to feel over here without you. Yeah? So that is not you connecting to your joy. That is you using another to feed and to compensate for the very parts that are not activated in you, so you don't have to look at them and activate them yourself. That's not you connecting to your joy. So connecting to your joy is taking responsibility that you're not in a relationship to give them joy, or for you to take joy from them to activate yourself. You're in the relationship to activate self, and to have that be all of you, to dare to share all of you in a relationship, and trust that the two of you doing that will feel really wonderful, and you'll have a great life together. So the focus is more on your own activation and using each other to support each other in our own journey towards that. Clear? Cool. That's part one. Connect to your joy. Safety comes out of you loving and being with and allowing so much of you that no matter where your partner goes, in their energy, their emotion, their wildness, their rawness, their total hugeness, you can hold. This is what creates safety, is the capacity for you to know these places within yourself so well that others who show up in these wild, crazy, what might be seen as crazy ranges are totally okay, that you can love yourself and your partner no matter where they go That you create this unconditionally loving space. That's what creates safety. It's a place of self-love within you. Now notice there's a pattern between these two. Do you know what the pattern is? Yes, they're foundational on this quality of you loving what is. And the second piece that connects these two is that the focus is on you. That safety is found within yourself. Now, you can create, and we're going to talk about this, how agreements that you make with each other form a safe container within your relationship with each other. But it starts with you having access to all of you. Because let's say, for example, I don't feel, and don't have access to my anger. Let's just talk about that as a hypothetical scenario, because it's not true in reality. So if that was true, if you were my partner and you expressed anger, I might do a variety of things. I might shut down. I might flip out and rage back because how dare you trigger that part in me. So I'll make it wrong, I'll judge it. I might run away and actually just retreat physically or emotionally and go distant because I don't want to be with that energy. Every single one of those things I've just shared creates a lack of safety. Because the other person, my partner in this case, cannot be in her anger in my presence without meeting a wall of tension and conditionality. Is this making sense? Yes. Thus, the only way to create safety is to be good with yourself, so that no matter what comes out of your partner, you're good with yourself. That's what creates safety. Now, from that place, your sacred agreements that you make with each other only add and amplify that. But if you don't work on your own sense of safety within yourself, guess what your agreements become? A contract to avoid pain and to avoid your insecurities. You know, honey, let's agree not to go out to nightclub dancing let's just avoid all the places where I could get triggered by the insecurity of you being in your full presence and radiance and maybe attracting the wrong attention of a man or a woman. Do you understand? We start to, from our place of fear, we try to create the agreements become this limitations. Rather than true agreements are a invitation for freedom, to be you. That's the only thing. If you want to learn how to create amazing agreements, you simply ask yourself, what do I need from you in order to be more of myself and be free to live the life that I am? Now that's an interesting conversation to have with your partner, rather than how do we have agreements so that we can make sure that the things I don't want to touch aren't touched anymore. Understand? Cool. So creating safety is another key core, or core key. The third key, communicating from the heart, is self-explanatory. It's the art of learning how to communicate with all aspects of your being. Another myth I want to bust is simply this. When somebody says, this man, this woman, she or he really speaks from the heart, they place their hand on their chest in this profound, posture, like, yeah, he's really speaking from the heart. Do you know what that even means? It's not like the physical pump going, hello, I'm Christian. It sounds ridiculous, but it almost feels as if like people point to this area as if like they're speaking from this part of their body, which isn't the case. All that speaking from the heart means is that your words are connected to your emotion, connected to your energy, which is connected to an embodied presence, grounded, that actually is connected to your own intrinsic goodness and core. Let's say it again. You speak from the heart when your thoughts in your head are connected to your emotion, to your energy, and to your physicality in an embodied way, while being connected to your intrinsic goodness and core. And I say it again, while being connected to your intrinsic goodness and core. You can be embodied, connected in your energy, in your emotion, but you could be collapsing in your pain body and you're in your unworthiness and you don't realize your own goodness, disconnected from source, and you won't be speaking from your heart. Therefore, it is possible for somebody to speak with deep, rich, raw emotion and be totally disconnected from their heart. In other words, their emotion does not indicate heartfelt presence. The ingredient that makes a heart sharing is your connection to your intrinsic goodness. It's your source connection. It's your knowing of your own value and worth while feeling your physical body, emotion, and energy. It's all of that locked in and combined. So far, so good? Yeah. And this is often missed. This is often missed. So when we say one of the key ingredients to a successful relationship, again, we're following the pattern of it has to start with you finding your own value. You knowing your worth and not needing another to spoon feed you with compliments so that you feel good, because on your own, without them in your life, you would be nobody. So when you start to need others to make you feel your own goodness, you are now in an energetic deficit with them, and you are now no longer heart connected. You are borrowing their heart for your benefit. You're not directly connected, you're doing this. You're going through them. And it creates an energetic deficiency that makes it very, very hard to feel juice in your connection. So far, so good? So learning actually how to communicate, to share from that heart-centered place of you feeling your juice, you feeling your value, you feeling your connection is critical. Being responsive. How many of you know what this means?
I do.
Okay, there's one responsive person. Great, nice. Responsiveness, again, the danger here is to think this is a technique, as if like, I just need to do that when somebody shares. Or perhaps somebody gives me a compliment and I go, oh, thank you, that really landed, that feels so good. As if like I learned that. Like, yeah, I learned in this retreat that when my partner tells me that they love me, I have to say, oh, I have to start with this sound. Ooh, wow. And it starts to like, what are you talking about? So this is what I mean about that there's no technical aspects here. Responsiveness is you daring to allow your body to spontaneously share how it's been touched by another. No, it wasn't very profound. See, what I've just shared.
Can you say it again?
Yeah. Responsiveness is the spontaneous expression which shows how you've been touched by another. Which means that you can only be responsive if you know how to receive. Because you first need to let the energy in for your body and your emotion and your heart to naturally express a response. Do you understand? So if like Philip, right? So Philippe or Philip? Philip, okay, somewhere in between. So if I had a ball and I throw him a ball, right? Let's say the ball missed and just went right past his head. It would just miss his head, right? It wouldn't actually engage him, wouldn't quite hit him. So it would be like, it's just going into thin air. Or it would just bounce off him if I actually made contact. But him being responsive is he would catch the ball. Yes, he would catch it. He would interact with it and go, oh. And then he would do this. And then that would be the response maybe, right? But he has to first take it in to know what response he's going to give. So he has to interact with it. He has to first take it, receive it, take it in, and then he can then know it enough to give a response. And this happens instantaneously in milliseconds. It's a spontaneous, engaged presence that happens. So it's not a technique, but you'll learn it first technically. and it'll be maybe a bit awkward, and then you realize, actually, my body and my energy and my breath and my movement does have a natural way that it wants to move if I just let go. Next one, daring to be witnessed basically implies that it's one of the reasons why we're here together, because one of the most healing forces in this work that I've encountered, and I do a lot of work in circles and small groups over multiple days. We just ended one just last week, in fact. And in these circles, the power is in not only the person, the client, the individual coming into more of who they are, but to be felt in that new range by other. And when they're felt in that range, that's what activates the range. In other words, you can't activate your own dormant potential by yourself. And this should be a game changer when you realize this. You cannot activate dormant potential by yourself. It requires other to activate. Others are the activating force that will open you to new potential. And this is the reason why personal development has plateaued. If you talk to many people on the personal development path, they'll tell you that they had a huge growth spurt and then something went flat when they became so independent and so clearly, I've got it all together, I've met my goals, I now know how to own my own reality, even create my own reality and meet the big things that I want to create in my life. And yet they're filled with this desperate loneliness, this sense of disconnection that can't go away, an itch they cannot scratch, because they're holding on to this idea that independence, a state of I've got it all together, is the ultimate. And yet it isn't. It's a stepping stone to interdependence, in this realization that our own awakening can be teleported to a whole new place with other. And it's all about the witnessing power, daring to show up and be felt by other is the most healing and most potent environment you can have for your own personal development and your own growth. And your relationships become the perfect place to practice that. And the final one here, daring to share your sexual magnetism, is about your polarity. It's about owning the fact that you are a sexual being, that it's good, it's healthy, it's vibrant, it's welcome, and that you are filled with it to every single cell of your core. And that your sexual energy is not something that's locked in your genitals. It's not something that comes out, 8 p.m. at night when it's time to fuck or make love or whatever it is you do. That is not something you lock away and only comes out in certain times, or it's when tension builds and you suddenly realize I need to jerk off to get rid of the tension, or whatever it is. It's actually something that you allow into your being, and your entire life and day is animated by this energy. Everything that you do is created by it. It's felt by everybody. It's something you share abundantly. It doesn't mean you're being unfaithful, because it's not about being sexual. It's about realizing that this is your life force, your creative force. And you shutting it down will only do you pain, cause you illness, and make your relationships go flat. It's the source of your charisma. It's the source of your potential. And if you have any issues with anger, it directly relates to this energy of your sexual charisma being blocked. I'll say that so directly again. If you've got any issues with anger, it is